Yes, let me start by asking you. I don't know if you just saw a report there from Ebuka on the streets in the marketplace here in Karo. How would you assess that? What do you think? Nigerians are struggling right now with a lockdown and hunger.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's quite emotional. I mean, seeing that woman that she's struggling to even feed herself, and I think it's not a make believe. This is the reality of the situation that we have found ourselves. Remember that up till now, even before the advent of COVID-19, Nigeria still remains the poverty capital of the world. What that means is that most Nigerians, up to 97 million Nigerians, live below $1.20 per day. That's barely 400 naira as the previous exchange rate. With the current exchange rate, that's barely 500 naira. And you just mentioned that someone had to buy a bag of potable water, the sachet water, for almost up to 400 naira.
600
So, I
naira.
mean, the poverty is huge on us. And truth be told, even for the so-called high level or middle level middle class, it is not going to be very easy this period of lockdown, But again, I think there are tough choices that we have to make. One thing that is clear is that this situation has furthermore exposed the vulnerability of Nigeria. It's not just the economy that will feel the pinch now. Almost every Nigerian, especially those who are living below the poverty line. And let's be frank. If people cannot survive without food for 2 weeks, that means that in this period of lockdown, if it is absolutely effective, we might actually have more recorded deaths through hunger before COVID-19 actually strikes anybody down. And that's the reality of the situation we find ourselves right now.
Yes, you just said it. Our economy has been vulnerable, at least in the last few years. Just like I said at the beginning of the program, or just a while ago, that the economy needs to be transformed. It needs to be restructured. I don't want to use
Absolutely.
that restructuring word because it's bastardized or it's politicized, which I don't want to get into the politics of all of that. But the Minister of Finance did also say yesterday that the economy has been down, it's been vulnerable even before the pandemic. How different do you expect this economy to look like after this lockdown?
Well, I think, again, like I said, this is a very rare opportunity once again for the policymakers to do the right thing. I mean, we've been shouting "Oha" for years.
Hello, Robert. Oh, okay. It seems the connection is freezing. Robert, can you hear me? Oh, okay. Let's try as much as possible to reconnect, to reestablish connection with Robert Omotunde, the Vice President of Investment Research. We still have a few more minutes left at 12 o'clock. While we go ahead with that reconnection, let's quickly bring to you perhaps the emergency stimulus. Do we have that card so that I can run through it again? The emergency funds that have come out as a result of this fight against COVID-19. We've seen quite a number of people donating to the cause. We've also seen private sector come out to form what they call coalition against COVID-19. I think with the Central Bank of Nigeria, I did say it earlier. We also saw yesterday that the Central Bank of Nigeria has set up an account for US dollars with Citibank and a Naira account. What you're seeing right now is more donations as the lockdown commences. Mike Adenuka donating more money, First Bank bringing out money, UBA donated 5 billion, not just in Nigeria, for also across Africa. For Lawrence Alakija, who is the richest woman in Nigeria, has also donated money. Nimasa is also coming out to donate. NNPC and other partners, I think about 22 or 23 or so, or 33 of them, yes. NNPC and about 30 of their partners are also donating money to help us fight this lockdown. What I did say at the beginning of the program is I hope that there is a tracking measure to track these donations, and let's know that these donations are actually moved to where it is needed. What are we using these monies for? We need to account for it so that we don't see those monies moving out, being siphoned again. We also should know, even at this point, how much does the testing cost, for example? How many testing kits do we have in Nigeria? How many testing kits do we need to buy? So I hope that these donations and these money is being donated by generous Nigerians would be allocated to what it should be allocated for. And for yesterday on the program, I did also mention during my analysis that as at yesterday, we were really not seeing, I would say, a response from perhaps the Federal Executive Council. That I also said on the program that there was really no need for a lockdown amongst President Buhari and his ministers. I know that there is a COVID-19 committee. The SGF is the chairman, the Minister of Health is there, and some others. They did a press conference yesterday. But yesterday on the program, I also noted that we needed to see more a war room sort of created in terms of how do we move our economy forward even as we battle COVID-19. So it should be like a double-edged sword in the sense that we are trying to avoid the spread of coronavirus in the country. But as we do that, we should also try to salvage the economy. And we should see a war room created. And I'm glad that after that program yesterday, when I noted that, I had the SGF, he announced, at least I heard it from his mouth, that the president has put together an economic sustainability committee that will be headed by the vice president to see the measures that we can come up with. Because it will be surprising to know that even as we are fighting coronavirus, and I hope that by God's grace, we are able to triumph over coronavirus, the other thing we will be battling with is the economy. So the view is we should try as much as possible to be fighting both together so that we don't get sunk in so deep, and the well would be so deep that even when the rest of the world has triumphed over coronavirus and moving ahead faster, Nigeria will still be crawling behind. We're still trying to see if we can get Robert on the line. I hope the network gets reestablished. Just like you heard Sam say earlier, what we need this period during this lockdown, we need electricity, we need water, and perhaps the government should also look into that because people don't have revenue or people don't have monies to pay for all of that. All right, let's quickly take a break. We have just, I think, about 7 minutes to 12. Well, let's quickly take a break. And when we come back from the break, I'll still be giving you a rundown of what is happening right now in the economic circles in the country. Let's quickly take this break. welcome back. Robert Omotunde is still with us but now on the phone lines. We couldn't re-establish connection with Skype. Robert, are you there? If you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Let me ask you this question. I know I had asked you before the line went off how our economy will look after the lockdown. But one thing I also noticed while I was taking a look at the donations is the essentiality to develop our local economies. If you take a look at those that have donated, most of them are Nigerian companies with Nigerian owners, the Dangotes, the Jimovias, Tony Elumelus that have also built conglomerates across Africa. Apart from NNPC and its partners just like Shell, ExxonMobil, Chevron and all of that, we are not seeing other companies that are like the foreign, I don't want to call them, we know these companies. None has even donated anything in the fight against COVID-19. Why I'm asking this question is, how important is it for us to develop our local economy? Is it for us to develop our people, our locals, to have big businesses? In the time of a crisis or war, we stand up for ourselves.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I can answer your question, so directly, I think that what you're trying to say is we have other multinational companies who are making the billions in terms of profit here in this country, but whom we have not heard I mean, it's not been said of them that any donation has been made. But it's unfortunate that to develop our local economy, we need foreign capital. And this is where, again, I, for one, would not support any indigenization policy that restricts capital on the basis that they are not Nigerians. It is true that most Nigerian billionaires, have lived true to their name in this challenging time to come up and, defend their own fatherland through the generous donations. I mean, kudos to all of them. That's on one hand. On the other hand, it is better for them to do that for the sustainability of their businesses. Look at the Dangote industries, all of the banks that are making donations. These are banks that cannot survive without people. If you don't have healthy population, then they cannot transact businesses. So it is indirectly selfish of them to actually donate. But the point is, what about other nationals, the FMCG companies that we know the names you don't want to mention, that we've not heard, or perhaps some of them are donating privately. I don't know about that. But the point is that for us to develop our economy, truth be told, we need foreign capital. We can't depend only on and I think that one of the points that the government has gotten wrong before now is that most time we focus on the government doing all of the spending on infrastructure, on getting the electricity sector to work, on getting, almost every sector of the economy to work. It's unfortunate that the current capital formation that we have within the domestic economy is not sufficient to get us to that level of diversified, level that will make most of our vulnerable people to be gainfully employed. Definitely, the unemployment is so high, and that's why people are shouting that they cannot even afford the money to stock up their houses. So the point is that for us to create more jobs and lift 100 million people out of poverty, it's not from the spending of this government, which they claim that they want to, do conditional cash transfer. Those can do barely 1% of all of the issues that we have to solve. So we have to go the private sector way, full-fledged. And I'm hoping that after this crisis, we will have been exposed significantly, no doubt. There is no doubt that the economy may even slip into recession. But what do we do when this crisis is over? Because definitely this crisis will be over. We shouldn't go back to the, to our vomit. By the time the crisis is over and oil prices is now back to $60 per barrel, we shouldn't go to sleep. We should now work harder to ensure that we reduce, if not completely eliminate, our dependence on oil. And that is when we can be said that government is indeed serious.
Robert, I wish I could continue with you, but of course the nation is on a lockdown, so I'll continue with you in a few in a few days as we'll continue to watch this economy. But it is also very essential, just like you've said, just like I've also noted, we need to build capacity. We need to have more Dangotes. For example, the structure of the economy should be able to encourage more Dangotes. For example, the structure of the U.S., for example, fighting COVID, A lot of people are bringing out their monies. Microsoft's Bill Gates is there, yes, and all of that. So let's see how it goes. That's the much we can take on COVID-19 watch, the money angle, the economic angle. At this point, I'm handing over to the news studio, to Yedia. Shida in the studio. Hello, Yedia. What's the update? I'll see you all tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Nancy, for those updates. Of course, I have a lot more on AI to report.